Hello, my name is Sam Hancock, and this is my presentation about how organized crime encouraged illicit Italian American stereotypes. Throughout the past 150 years, Italian Americans have immigrated to America in the search of prosperity and riches. Some brought their culture, some brought their families, but others brought organized crime, famously known as the Mafia. While some were included in this illegal business, not all Italian Americans wanted their lives riddled with crime. To outsiders, though, it seemed as all Italian American immigrants were involved somehow, which created many stereotypes that severely affected the lives of thousands. This presumption is incorrect, as in 1999, the FBI claimed that only 0.0078% of Italian Americans were involved in organized crime. The aim of this presentation is to highlight how mafia stereotypes negatively affected Italian Americans through films such as The Godfather and through different readings from the rich history of Italian Americans. Throughout the movie The Godfather, countless acts of violence were committed. Murders, shootings, stabbings, and countless other acts can be seen. This portrays Italian Americans in a negative light and makes others think that they are dangerous and violent. The picture on the top was from an early scene where Luca Brasi, a decorated hitman for the Corleone family, was brutally murdered in a scene where he was first stabbed and then he was brutally garroted from behind. This supports the stereotype that the Mafia is a brutal, murderous gang. The picture on the bottom was when Sonny Corleone was killed. Michael allowed for this killing to occur, which in itself is something that is brutal and very bad because Sonny Corleone was actually his brother. This helps prove that the Mafia is something that is very dangerous and brutal. The Rutledge History of Italian Americans, Chapter 13. First off, the Black Hand was a group of predominantly Italian Americans who extorted Americans. Their tactics were sending a letter stating that you would be harmed if you didn't send a certain amount of money. Even in Shark Tale, a 2004 DreamWorks movie, caught the eyes of Italian Americans because it cast vicious sharks bearing Italian names, and they claimed it as defamatory, thus encouraging the assumption that Italians are connected with crime. This shows Italian Americans were portrayed in the 1900s through organized crime, as some participated in illegal businesses. It also showed how Italian Americans were portrayed in some films, as they mainly represented a negative connotation. Chapter 29. New Orleans was a hub of illicit activity during the late 1800s and early 1900s. One prominent occurrence was the murder of Police Chief David Hennessy. One night, Hennessy was murdered by two men who were supposedly Italian. This was the start of a xenophobic bomb in New Orleans. 11 Italian Americans died because of lynchings from angry citizens. Another big illicit Italian American business was bootlegging alcohol. Prohibition was a disaster for America because it turned mobsters into public servants. This was just another scenario that supported the stereotype that Italian Americans were all mobsters and or members of illicit business. In conclusion, Italian Americans have dealt with multiple stereotypes which were caused by those who were involved in organized crime. These stereotypes claim that Italian Americans are violent, cruel, and a part of organized crime. We know that this isn't true. It is just how Italian Americans were portrayed through film and other media. Through The Godfather and through the readings of the Rutledge History of Italian Americans, we have learned that these stereotypes are false and they lead to a negative connotation of the whole Italian American population. Thank you.